he was someone who did good on earth. He did a lot of good. You know, he even said it in his song. This man don't trouble no man, but if you trouble this man, gonna be a bam bam. It's Toots, you see. It's not everyone would get that degree of respect from me, even though I get along with all people in the music business in Jamaica. Mm-hmm. But Toots was very special. You know, we're coming from way back. There was a time in Jamaica when we used to do a lot of shows all over the island, mm-hmm. and the shows were held in cinemas.
Oh.
You know, so that was way back, you know. It wasn't just Toots at the time, it was the Maytals, because there was Larry and Jerry.
Yeah.
But we had a very kind of friendly, competitive way to perform. We said, oh, we're going to take it tonight, we're going to take it tonight. You know, that we're going to mash it up tonight. And we had a song. Mm-hmm. No, we go way back. It's all good feelings with Toots. Toots is a very, very creative person. I have always looked at life that one knows when one is going to exit. How and why do I say that? Because people who were very near and dear to me, when they were about to go, they did things that, let's say, take example, from my father. The place where I was born in Adelphi land, we didn't live there anymore because that was way up in the hills of St. James. And we lived in Somerton. It's hard to climb the hill to go up there. And he climbed the hill because he had a stroke before he went. And I don't know how he did it. But that tells you he knew he had to go and see his place again before he left.
Right.
And I could go on and on with stories of other people that I know. So I have this first-hand knowledge that people know most of the time, except it's an accident. Mm-hmm. And even if it's an accident, something inside you tells you,
you know. Feeling.
So, yes, there you go.
What do you think was his thing or his feeling? Do you think it was maybe the album?
No, let me tell you now about this new album. I've heard it. I've heard this album, and it's like, boy, it's the best. I look at it as one of the best because I wouldn't, you know, when you go back to songs like 54, 46.
46 was my number, right now someone else has that number. I say one more time, 54, 46 was my number.
Are Clean in my belly and all them songs there. And all those songs were kind of put together in an album. Those were great albums.
Hopefully it's recognized the way it should be. But in terms of it being his final album, do you think it's worth the finality?
Well, yes, it's a good way to say, okay, Earth, let you know, I'm gone, and I leave you with this, and this you will never forget.
Wow.
Every creature on earth is here for a purpose.
Yeah.
Even a mosquito.
Mm-hmm.
So it's for you to realize what is my purpose. What me there for? What me come here for? Once you realize that, then you sail smoothly through life. And if you accomplish it properly, then you don't have to reincarnate. So Toots is out there now somewhere in the ether, vibrating.
What do you say? What can you say about his soul? Many told me that, he's caring. He was a caring person, and he should be known by many for his humanity and his humility. For someone who has been around him for so many years, what's your take on that?
That's a fact. Anyone who knows Toots knows that he's very kind, he's very caring, not only for his family, for people he knows, but he's caring for everyone. And he was someone who did good on earth. He did a lot of good. You know, he even said it in his song. This man, don't show me no man.
And if you should show this man, it will bring a bam, 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 salam, bam, bam.
So yeah, you know,
How
he
are
was
you?
a good man. He has inspired so many people to live
Right.
with his music all over the world.
What do you think set him apart from other artists? Maybe from his era, and maybe also from the more contemporary or the more recent artists that are here now.
Well, first of all, nature gave him one of the greatest voices on the planet Earth. That set him apart from everyone. He had a great voice. He grew as time went on. He grew to overstand and understand that he has something to do. And he was an artist that we would call roots and culture. He grew into roots and culture, you know, put it in the same bracket like Burning Spear, Bob Marley. You know, some artists are roots and culture, and some artists just sing about girls and cars.
And that differentiates him from the young ones these days, right?
Yeah, because a lot of the young ones don't really get into the roots of culture.
In discussing the music industry and Toots passing, is there any desires that you have in regard to the industry or the reggae genre? You want it to be recognized more, appreciated more, highlighted more? Because what I find is that many persons, you know, like my age and even older people, they don't know of Toots. They don't know of Toots, you know? So do you think that something needs to be done to correct that? Or what would you like to be done to correct that?
The music business is like this, not just in Jamaica. You're as good as your last hit. That is one sentence that is very known in the music business. You're as good as your last hit. Like abroad, if somebody is going to sign you to a label, well, what was his last hit? How much did it sold? So the criteria is that. So how many artists is remembered now? Great artists that are not just Jamaican artists, but how many of them are remembered? You spoke about foundations earlier. Foundation people leave right now to Scan. I can say I spoke to Derek Morgan recently. Since Toots crossover we're talking. He's still around. I'm still around. Monty Morris is still around. There's quite a few. But sometimes when you cross over and you're around and you're not, creative juices are not flowing anymore, you know, people tend to forget. So this is something that you cannot have a way to stop, except when the world change. And the world will change, you know. The world is changing. But right now, you know, all the systems are unjust.
But out of respect, as I said, for the foundation, don't you think that something can be done to, for example, I spoke with Herbie earlier today, as you may know, Herbie Miller, and he was saying that he wants a statue to be erected in memory of Toots. One of the reasons is because a lot of persons don't know who he is, and he really should be honored for his work. So just as how he's a statue of Bob Marley and now he's lobbying for a statue of Toots, people will see the statue and ask, but outside of the statue, you know, maybe we need to foster more into the history of our musicians. Like we have the Bob Marley Museum, we have the Peter Tosh Museum, but what more can be done? We need to have more museum for these people. What do you think? What would you like to see?
Okay, so Toots was from Clarendon.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Where does this name Clarendon come from? We don't know where. I don't know where. It's British. It's British. Why not name that parish after Toots Hibbert or Toots and the Maytals? Call that parish Toots Hibbert. I think big. That's how I think. A statue is a good thing. A statue is a good thing. And maybe a child just born on the day he died and grow up with it. Who is that? And somebody might say, that's Toots Hibbert. Who is Toots Hibbert? Well, he did so and so and so. So a statue is a good thing. But a street is also a good thing. You say, you name the street. He asks the same question. A child like born, and the day he crossed over and grew up now, and she's 12 years old. She said, "Who is that? Why is this street called that? Or why is this parish called that or that?" But something that is memorable to the next generation coming.
How do you think he would want his life to be celebrated?
Yeah. I think the radio should play his music. I appreciate that a lot of the radios, particularly one radio station, I can't say IRFM, they have they play one Bob Marley music every day, or not? Yeah, every day. They could do the same for Toots. He deserve it. So, he keeps his name ringing, and he has enough music for them to do that.
Do you think that's what he would want, for his song to be played every day on the radio?
Look, as an artist myself, it's a joyful thing to an artist when the artist hears his music on the air. When an artist hears people singing their songs, it gives joy to an artist. And an artist gives joy to the people. So, yes, that would be something to make him smile wherever he is, in the ether, or if he put on his wings and fly away,
What do you think inspired his music?
I think it's life experiences. Take, for example, what a fit, and I think books, they wrote them all. Now, that's a song that he knew about in the religious surrounding that he went to. 6 and 7 books of Moses,
Yeah.
And then take a song like, I say, yeah, 54:46, that's another part of his experience. And that experience, I know, he complained about because he said and knew that he was not guilty.
Yeah, somebody maybe set him up.
That's right. He said, looked like I was going too fast and somebody want to put me down. So he was very bitter about that. That somebody said that way. So that was a part of his experience. And he put it in his music. He put it in a song. That was one of his biggest hits. And I was talking about also Bam Bam. This man don't trouble no man. But if you trouble this man, going to be a Bam Bam. That's a part of his soul. He's a peaceful man, don't trouble no one. But if you trouble me, you're going to get trouble and double. In my view, what I've seen, listening to his music, it's living his life. He sang his experiences and his aspirations. For example, he made a song called Funky Kingston. That idea was put in his head by Chris Blackwell. And he wrote that song, Funky Kingston. There was a song called Funky Nassau. And Chris said, why you don't write a song called Funky Kingston? And he wrote it. So that's artists work like that.
Yeah.
You give an artist ideas, not only artists, but also writers.
Yeah.
That I read a lot about this guy called Shakespeare. All of the things he wrote didn't come out of his mind, out of his head. He observed and listened and watched, and that's artist work like that. So you echo the echoes of the people. So he also did that.
All right. Mr. Cliff, one last question. What was the climate like around, like 1962 and so forth, with independence and the singing of the songs and stuff, because, when you stand up for consciousness, and you address socio-political issues. It must have been hard. What was the climate like then?
Well, 62 and those time, that was when the music was called ska.
Yeah.
What was it expressing? It was expressing the mood of the country, which was, okay, we get independence. And even though no majority of the people was not conscious of what independence, for majority of the people, it was something to celebrate. And therefore, the music was fast. Cha, 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 cha. So it went like that. So it was not a political consciousness in the time of the ska. It was just a feeling of celebration. But then the music slowed down to rock steady when we started to say, well, what is this independence? You slow down, you start to think now. Because you don't see no big changes in your personal life, in other people's life. So the music slowed down, you start to think. And then the music went to when it became known as reggae. Toots was the first one to use that word.
I was about to ask you about that.
Yeah. So when the music became reggae, that was when cultural consciousness is when you start to go forward to your roots. And 90% of Jamaicans are Africans by descent. And that was when spirituality, consciousness of self, and all that came into the song. Thus, Rastafari. Because in the early days, Toots was not a Rastafari. So I know when Toots became, when he got the Rasta consciousness, and his music changed as well.
Well, you know the struggle with people not believing that Toots is a real Rasta because he doesn't have dread.
Well, what's this group called again? Him say, you don't have to be dread to be Rasta. Right? That is what it is.
How do you think Toots is being remembered?
Those who knew his music, I think will miss him dearly and will always be playing his music. Those who are just becoming acquainted with his music will say, oh, we never know about him before. Wow, what a way music nice, them kind of way there. You know? So he will be remembered for his music, definitely. He will be remembered also for the part that he and Larry and Jerry played in The Harder They Come. So, you know, he'll be remembered for what he did on earth, which is his music. And he made excellent music. An unforgettable, unimitatable voice that he had. People used to just look at American singers, black African singers, as soul singers. They never looked at us in Jamaica as black Africans who, they say, we also sing with soul. And to say, reggae got soul, got soul, got soul. The whole of Toots music, him touch everything. Condolences to all his family, and they should know this, that Toots is gone physically, but he's still with them in the genes. He's with them every moment, every minute, every day, night. He's there with them in their genes, so they shouldn't have to feel, oh, he's gone. Yeah, physically he's gone, but spiritually he's with them, and etherically he's with them.